Okay. I was just speaking with a client and I asked her the question, because sometimes it's easy to lose sight in recovery. Like, what are you actually aiming for? What are you shooting for? Like, okay, yes, we talk about full recovery a lot. Like, what does that even mean? In relationship, especially to food. And so I asked her, like, what do you envision, or what's your ultimate goal? Like, how do you want to feel around food? What is your relationship going to be like food when you're fully recovered? And it was interesting. She said, well, I just don't want it to be on a pedestal anymore. Like, I just want it to be a part of my life, not my entire life. And gosh, isn't that so true? When you are in your eating disorder, honestly, my entire universe, even though I was married and had kids and other things that were sort of going on in my life, food came first. Like, food was the most prominent thing on my mind every single day, and exercise. So those two things were basically consuming 99% of my thoughts. And so, you know, you go from there and then you think of, okay, well, in full recovery, I want to not have food be on a pedestal, AKA I don't want to have to be thinking about it all day long, every minute of the day. Okay, so how do we get there, right? The problem is there's this middle step. There's where we are when we have our eating disorder, and then there's full recovery, right? Which is no longer having food on a pedestal, being able to join in with people, be spontaneous, travel, try new foods, eat in 5 minutes and move on, not have to plan things out. You know what I mean? It's not this obsession with food anymore. It would be full recovery. Not having guilt around it, not obsessing over it. But the problem is people want to go from here and then think their way into here. If I just think about it enough, or if I just kind of like maybe plan how I could do that without having to do this, and by this I mean recovery, like actually eat unrestrictedly, what happens is you get really discouraged and frustrated, because you basically just shift from like having your eating disorder and then kind of shifting and molding it into another different eating disorder and still not ending up where you want it to be. And so you've got to accept the fact that there is this middle step that has to be done. That's eating unrestrictedly, that's fully resting, and that is committing to getting to full recovery, regardless of how hard it feels, regardless of how much you might hate your body along the way, regardless of how many reasons you can come up with why the world is telling you you shouldn't do it this way. It's kind of like, I'm trying to think, an analogy here would be like, you know, I want to get to this amazing destination, this vacation destination I want to get to, but I do not want to drive, and I am not flying. Flying is annoying and it takes forever at the airport and there's layovers, and I'm not doing that. Oh, okay, what are you going to do? Grow wings and fly? It's not going to happen. Like, you actually have to arrange a way to get yourself to that holiday, wonderful, beautiful vacation destination. And it's sort of the same way with recovery. It's like, okay, so you aren't the unicorn. You're not going to be able to do this without going through that middle step. I think sometimes, again, like I said, you try to force it, and then you end up feeling really discouraged, or trying to like convince yourself that you're not still obsessed with food, or convince yourself you're a normal eater now. But really deep down inside, you know, you're still very much disordered, right? And that's where people will land in like quasi, or they'll get very complacent, kind of in the middle of recovery, but not get all the way. This last stage happens organically because of all the work you're doing in this middle stage. Okay. So this kind of will just naturally happen. It'll be like, oh my gosh, like I'm starting to realize I don't obsess around food, because you allowed yourself to get really, really uncomfortable. It felt really, really chaotic. It felt really, really out of control and excessive and over the top and absolutely unbelievably crazy. That's how I felt through most of my recovery. But things eventually settled down, and they did start to feel more normal naturally. So that's my message to you today. You're at point A, you're trying to get point B, and you can't skip. You've got to go through it. What is that book? Going on a Bear Hunt. Any of you that have kids, I'm sure you've heard of this book. And if you haven't, go buy it for your kid and read it, or buy it for yourself and read it. Going on a bear hunt, can't go over it, can't go under it, you have to go through it. That's recovery. Okay, have a good day. Bye.